I'm Joyce and my group members are Xiang Yi and Jun Yao. This is our LECM group assignment 2, and in part 1 of the assignment, we have chosen a case scenario, analysed the behaviours of the children in it, and have come up with a few classroom management strategies. We have chosen the case scenario 1, Math and Manipulative Center. Joy and James were both holding tightly to the only set of jigsaw puzzle at the Math and Manipulative Center. Joy said, "I took it first." James replied, "You played with it yesterday already." Meanwhile, Jean, Jenny, and John were using the Unifix cubes to make imaginary objects for buying and selling. There were some activity sheets to reinforce counting skills in the center, but no children chose to work on them.
After going through the case scenario, we can interpret that Joy is highly interested in jigsaw puzzles. According to James, Joy played the same piece of puzzle the day before as well. James was frustrated when Joy did not share the puzzle with him. This can happen because Joy might be the only child at home. She do not need to share her toys with others. Another reason can be there's insufficient resources because James did not have the opportunity to play the puzzle. Next, no one in the class did the activity sheets. This can happen when children wanted more hands-on activity instead. In the scenario, it stated that Jean, Jenny, and John used Unifix cube to make imaginary objects for buying and selling. This shows that they were more interested in role-play activities than doing worksheets. Answer keys were not prepared by the teachers, thus children were uninterested as they could not check the answers. Lastly, activity sheets did not appeal to children due to various reasons, such as limited pictures, too wordy, or printed in black and white.
After sourcing for information and compiling them, here are some recommendations that we come up with in order to accommodate to the behavior of the children. As worksheets did not interest children, teachers should introduce more materials for children to choose from. According to Bulat, teachers should ensure that the materials provided for children are attractive and appeals to them. Although children may be more interested in certain learning materials, it is good that teachers encourage them to try other materials. This can be done through some measures. According to Greenman, one of which involves changing the learning materials often. This can allow children to explore a larger variety of resources. By adding a surprising element to the materials found at the learning center, this can actually stimulate children's sense of curiosity and wonder. For example, introducing ideas such as measuring the size of the shelves with your body can make the lesson more interesting. Teachers can also introduce more hands-on activities, adding a sensory touch to it. The sensory experiences can create a greater impact on children's learning. This is because through sensorial learning, children can remember the concept better as it leaves a stronger impression in their minds. In addition, organization of learning center is also important. Children can work and discover the materials at a learning center either individually or they can choose to work with their friends. It is important to create distinct areas so that those children who chose to work independently are not disturbed. One way of doing so is to place the puzzle and Unifix cube on separate columns on the shelves. The materials should be labeled and classified accordingly so that children have easy access to them. If the teacher is unable to provide sufficient resources or materials for the children, he or she can encourage children to share and take turns to use them. According to Ministry of Education, this is also one of the key stage outcomes of preschool education.
Next, there should be a sufficient amount of sets of resources for at least 5 children in the Math and Manipulative Center. According to COSA, teachers should provide plentiful age and developmentally appropriate activities They are self-correcting and self-directed to promote independent learning in children. This would prevent a competition of resources. These games would have instructions and answers provided. Additionally, it would encourage peer collaborative interactions as they play with the puzzles, which would allow them to grasp new knowledge from their peers or understand the activity or their experience better with new perspectives, according to Escherman. Thus, the Math and Manipulative Center should consist of at least 5 sets of resources for children to learn efficiently. Moreover, teachers should observe and assess children's learning and thereupon develop activities, be it hands-on or activity sheets, to build on their interests and actions according to Holman, Weikart, and Epstein. In Jean, Jenny, and John's case, the increment of math-related materials in that center could develop their math concepts, according to Koza, since it is apparent that they have an interest in buying and selling things. An example would be a booth to sell and buy things from each other using fake money. Teachers should also facilitate children's learning with opportunities for them to problem solve and to construct their own knowledge. This also supports Piaget's view of an adult's role in children's learning by providing children active learning experiences. Thus, children should receive opportunities to extend their learning by exploring more on their interests.
Next, in order to motivate children to do the activity sheets, teachers can use incentives in the classroom to reinforce motivation towards accomplishment. For example, teacher can introduce a sticker system for completing activity sheets on time. Children who finish one piece of activity sheets will get a sticker from the teacher. He will then paste the sticker beside his name. However, a sticker will only be rewarded when most of the answers are correct. The sticker system can renew every week. The child with the most number of stickers will get a special rewards from the teacher. It can be any small gifts which will make the child feel more motivated to sustain his ability. This can also influence other children to work hard for the following week. According to Skinner's operant conditioning theory, positive reinforcement strengthens a behavior by providing a consequences an individual finds rewarding. In this case, children will see the gift as a form of rewards. In order to get this reward, they will be motivated to do the activity sheets, which can strengthen their maths concept as well. Other than the reward system, teacher must also ensure the activity plan for each learning center encourage both individual games and small group activities. During individual play at the learning center, the child will learn to have fun on their own. It helps to develop a strong sense of independence, and they will understand that they will have to face certain difficulty by themselves too. Playing by themselves also help each individual to develop a greater problem-solving skills as they get to stay calm and think alone when they face any problems. On the other hand, working in pairs or threes allow children to mix and interact with everyone in the group. Teacher can also use cooperative learning strategies such as think, pair, share to develop social skills. Children will also experience a sense of achievement, especially when they achieve something as a group, such as solving a puzzle. The sense of achievement is definitely greater as compared to individual. In the scenario, Joy refused to share puzzle with James. If the teacher decides to change the puzzle into a pair work activity, they are able to share the puzzles and solve it together. This can decrease the chances of children getting into conflict in learning centers and also solve the problem like lack of resources. Lastly, in order to encourage children to do the activity sheets, answer keys should be prepared so that children can check their answers and learn from their mistakes. Answer key is a good way to monitor children that they had already understand the concept of certain maths topic. As we all know, Teachers will try their best not to interfere in any learning center's activity. Without the guide of teacher, when a child finishes a piece of maths activity sheets, he will feel lost and confused if there isn't anyone to check the answer for him. Answer keys is one of the simplest self-correcting materials that we can provide for the children. According to Max Beat, self-correcting materials provide children an independent practice activities that includes multiple response opportunities while also including a way for children to self-check their responses. It represents the teachers in learning centers to give children an immediate feedback on their performance in class, which refers to what they have learned in class or how much do they remember. In terms of character development, self-correcting materials such as answer keys also help children to develop a sense of integrity and responsibility to show that whether they can face their mistakes with courage.
In conclusion, teachers should provide children with sufficient materials of huge variety. Learning centers should be created based on children's interests, and hands-on learning experiences are essential to them. Also, teachers should make sure that the materials at the learning center are age-appropriate and developmentally appropriate. The learning materials should be helpful in enhancing mathematical concepts as well. We have come to the end of our presentation. Thank you for your kind attention. Signing off, Xiang Yi, Junyao, and Joyce.